Let's wait 1 second. Are we having some video issues right now? Yeah. So it's okay. Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Would everyone side up? So
would everyone please rise for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Haley, everybody's upside down.
Working on it, Mark.
Oh. You're right side up, Mark.
For once in my life.
Okay, we'll just wait a little bit. It is sometimes an upside down world.
You think?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, just so that everybody's aware publicly, Mr. Brancato is participating in this by virtual means as he is out of the state, but he is on the screen.
I would like to move forward with public comment on the agenda. So I'll open up the floor for public comment right now on agenda items.
Just, Mr. Chairman, before we get to public comment, the board did meet in executive session right
Yes.
before this meeting to discuss potential litigation and obtain legal advice.
Yes.
We also met last week, Joe, in executive session.
Yes, Mr. Brancato, and we met on the Wednesday, which was what day was that?
Thank you.
The 9th?
20 something.
Last Wednesday. We met last Wednesday in executive session to discuss potential litigation and potential acquisition of real estate on April 30th.
April
Thank
30.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, thank you. Okay, I will open this up for public comment on the agenda items. Is there anyone anyone online or anyone here in the people who are here attending? Is there any comments, questions? Okay, and there's nothing. Is there anything online? Nothing online. Okay. So what I'm going to move forward to is to the minutes and financials, and I'm going to just move forward with the normal consent agenda. So I'm going to motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll ask for a second.
Second.
Is there anything anyone wants to discuss concerning the financials, the minutes, the reports?
I have nothing.
Mark, no. I'll just ask. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the presentation portion of the agenda. I think Rachel, thank you, Rachel. Rachel is going to be doing a presentation.
Evening.
You can take that out of there. If you want.
Good
Okay.
evening.
Well, let's see if I actually can. Okay. Good evening. I'm Rachel Griffith, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Planning Commission. And I'm here to provide an update on some things the Planning Commission has been talking about in our last couple meetings. So I prepared a couple slides that are very not visually appealing, so I apologize about that. And these are all things that you know, but I'm just sort of putting them together to tell the story that I want to tell. So we now have this great township mission statement. And I pulled a couple things out of the mission statement that I think the Planning Commission could be really helpful and an asset to the township in helping to achieve. And so mostly what I'm going to be talking about is we are interested in in better assisting the township in proactive planning and thinking about our comprehensive plan, our zoning ordinance, subdivision ordinance, potentially official map, how we plan with our neighbors. And I'm hoping that we can talk a little bit about what your vision is for how the Planning Commission could be utilized. So these things that are underlined: protect and promote the township's rural character, agricultural heritage, and historical resources and significance. A lot of that is done through sound land use planning. Promote business development, real estate development, redevelopment, adaptive reuse, and making sure that's compatible with the township's rural agricultural and historic character. So those are all things that the Planning Commission could help figure out what's the best path forward from an ordinance standpoint, from a planning standpoint, and from also how do we organize our meetings and the things that we talk about in our meetings, our precious little time that we have together. Next slide, please. So these are things from the municipality's planning code that the Planning Commission is some of the things that the Planning Commission is authorized to do in Pennsylvania. There's a list of about 15 things, but I pulled out these specific things because these have come up in our Planning Commission meetings as things we are interested in potentially looking at. So one is making recommendations about an official map, promoting public interest in planning, so getting more people involved in the planning process and helping people understand planning and how it works in the township a little bit better, reviewing ordinance and regulations, and taking a look at our zoning ordinance in particular. And so these are things we've talked about before. Next slide, please. Specifically, some things that the Planning Commission is interested in and think it could be valuable to explore further are reviewing our zoning ordinance. I've been on the Planning Commission since 2020, and I think in that whole time, we have not reviewed a single ordinance, which to me says that we're not being responsive to if there's a development plan that comes in and something didn't go well, like we're not changing things so we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And we're not responding to new uses that come along, like we're going to be talking about data centers tonight, which currently isn't regulated in our code. And so just taking a look at the zoning ordinance from a holistic perspective. Looking at potential updates to the zoning map and how the map could better reflect the land use priorities of the township and also better align with existing conditions. There's a lot of land that is zoned agricultural that's been developed, and so it might make sense to adjust the map to reflect those existing conditions. Update our comprehensive plan. I know there's been lots of talk about that. And work with the Parks and Rec Committee on a trail plan for the township, a holistic vision for a trail network, including working with neighboring municipalities on trails that would interconnect between the municipalities, like the French Creek Trail. And we've also talked about changing what's required for land development proposals and submissions, the things that we want to see. So whether it's the number of plans that we receive, like physical plans, or changing the requirements for what's shown on the existing conditions plan. We've talked about things like that, and it might be nice to make some changes there. And then also we've talked about the benefits of potentially getting involved in the Phoenixville Regional Planning Committee, even if it's just attending their meetings, but seeing what it's all about. We also discussed potentially meeting with Spring City just to hear what they're up to and potentially doing some collaborative planning work with them. Next slide, please. So ultimately, I'm hoping that we can get a little bit of feedback at this meeting tonight because I think we haven't felt empowered to really work on any of these things. And we want to make sure that what we work on is aligned with the board's vision and what you think would be valuable for us to work on. And so what do you see as sort of the Planning Commission's role in terms of the balance between being responsive to reviewing the development plans that come in, to being proactive and thinking about planning for the future?
Well, I'll open this up. Ed or Mark, would you like to go first?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah.
I prefer a proactive planning commission. That's a very general statement now, Rachel. But if there are matters that the planning commission would like to address in advance, delve into them and offer proposals for consideration by the board. I think it's a good use of your time. As an aside, I'd like you to send the slides to each of us so we have them.
We have them.
We do?
You do, yes.
I don't. So, anyway, again, I think in general, much of what you had on your slides, from what I can follow verbally, sounds promising and intriguing to me. The one area that where I think you might be getting ahead of us is on reviewing the zoning ordinance. That ordinance went through 2 or 3 years worth of effort by a committee. There are a number of things that we need to wrap our hands around as far as the board is concerned. But in the meantime, there will be a number of things, number of changes to the zoning ordinance we'll have to take on this year. So I don't think it would be a productive use of the Planning Commission's time to roll up its sleeves and literally dive into the changes that have been proposed so far. So with that caveat, again, much of what you said sounds good to me.
Thank you. That's good direction.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may?
Yeah.
Rachel, thank you for putting this together and presenting, as well as the members of the Planning Commission. Haley, if you can just go back to the first slide. I think when you look at the township mission statement, I think one of the advantages the township has is when you look at the township, compatible with the township's rural, agriculture, and historical character and heritage. I think that speaks to the experience and knowledge we have on the Planning Commission, which is outstanding. So I think you've got that area covered. So I think it's the process now from the board taking this under consideration and then maybe getting an answer back to you with some direction at the next board meeting. In this way, touch some of the points like Mark has, because later in this meeting, I think there may be something coming to you. But I think this will also too start to kind of align what you're looking for is direction, so that you're not wasting your time on things and go through something, present the board and say, well, that's not what we want. So I think this is great, and you're absolutely right. We should utilize the Planning Commission more because there's an awful lot of talent that we have.
Yeah, we all agree. And I do remember your comments. I think maybe it was 2 PC meetings ago when this was brought up, and you were expressing, this desire, and everything here is in keeping with what you had said from that meeting. So we definitely want to encourage that, and we'll be getting some more guidance, in the future here.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Maybe 40 minutes from now or so.
If we can get through things quickly, yes.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
Thank you. Moving to the next part on the agenda here. This is the business agenda. So the first item on the business agenda, for the business agenda is the zoning hearing application for 140 Hill Church. So what I would like to do here is I would like to do things a little bit differently. Normally I would read off the motion and then I would ask for a second, but I thought maybe we should have a little bit of a discussion here to talk a little bit about this. And
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, perhaps I can,
Yes.
perhaps I could provide some context. Is the applicant here this evening? I don't think so. So 140 Hill Church Road is the site of an existing home. The existing home is located within a floodplain. The applicant is proposing to demolish that existing home. Apparently it's in not great shape, and then rebuild a new home at another location on the lot. That location would still be within the floodplain area. It would not necessarily comply with all of the township's zoning ordinance requirements from a dimensional perspective. And just by nature of it being in a floodplain would require zoning relief. So the applicant does have to go before the zoning hearing board to get the zoning hearing board's decision, either for or against the application. What is before you this evening is a motion to consider whether or not you would have any position with respect to that application, either for, against, or no position, and whether or not the board would prefer to send me as the solicitor to the township to appear before the zoning hearing board to ask for reasonable conditions to be placed upon any relief that may be granted by the zoning hearing board if the board decides to grant relief. So, Ms. Barry, I don't think I missed anything there, but if I did, please let me know. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I believe that summarizes the motion.
Yes, thank you.
Craig,
Yes,
unless you were prepared to say something, I'll hold.
no, go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
I mean, look, it's bad enough that the house was in a floodplain. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. Putting it deeper into the floodplain to me is undesirable for any number of reasons. Not the least of which is it will change, it will alter, or it might add to, or increase the degree of flooding, which will have impacts upon downstream homes and other streams and the environment. I don't think it's a good idea. I think if the motion does go forward, as I'm sure it will one way or the other, that we at least include the motion that we instruct our solicitor to attend and to convey that the board opposes the application.
Thank you, Mark. Ed, is there anything you'd like to say about this one?
No.
No. Okay. I'm going to read the motion here. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors take no action at the zoning hearing board application for Nicholas Long located at 140 Hill Church Road. Number 2, refer to the application to the Planning Commission for review and comment. And 3, authorize the township solicitor to attend the zoning hearing meeting and to I'm adding to what's already here and to suggest some reasonable revisions to this plan. So I'll ask for a second.
Could we ask that you also attend the planning commission meeting?
Yes.
So I would
yes.
amend that motion to say that this township solicitor also be able to attend the planning commission on behalf of the township.
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
we
I
do
agree.
attend.
Yeah, that's not what this says, but that's the amendment that I would make.
Thank you.
And Craig, I would offer as a friendly amendment that we change it to read that our solicitor will appear at the ZHB to object to the application.
Well, I've already, let me explain, let me comment on this. I generally do not like to forecast to any of the committees or boards that we take a certain position on. I like their independence, as I think I've said before in previous meetings. I do have a lot more concerns about this one, and I would say other things that have gone before the zoning hearing board or even the planning commission. So that is why Joe is going to go there and to recommend some of reasonable changes when this comes up before the zoning hearing board and also for the planning commission. But again, I take the stance that I don't think we as a body here should take a stance on things like this. I think we can talk about it and we can talk about our concerns, which we already have. I think this should go into this will be in the public record and will be available for them. But I don't want to say support or oppose. I'd like them to make their own decisions and to take all the information, including what we say here tonight, and that be part of the decision that they make. So those are my comments concerning this. Now, we haven't seconded this, but we've just we've revised
We're
this,
kind of
reframing it, yes. And so if we're okay with how it's currently been reframed, and if we're okay with taking no position, then we could move forward with where I'll ask for a second.
I'll second it as reframed.
Okay. Okay.
Which is allowing the solicitor to attend the planning commission and also to authorize the township solicitor to attend the zoning hearing board
Yes.
on behalf of the township.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, this is a unique one. I appreciate, not taking a position. However, I just want to say that because you're actually taking a home and moving it further into the floodplain, creates a public health and safety and welfare issue.
Let me make one change to it.
Okay.
Just saying, we're actually not moving the old home. The old home is being demolished
Correct.
for what they're asking for. They want to put a new
Build a
home,
new-
Yes.
and they're so close to complying that the ordinance says they have to be 50 foot back from the road. They're only 40. There were some other things there. I think they're a foot away from complying with some of the floodplain. I think they were at 220 feet and there's 221 feet. So they're really close. And then there were some other issues that are in there as well. I think that all has to be considered by the zoning hearing board and planning commission. They can take our comments, which I have concerns about it too.
Right.
And I'm expressing here, but I just don't like taking the position and saying, I think you need to vote this way. I just don't like that.
And I'm
just in principle, just in
Sure.
principle. I
And
don't
I'm
like
just
that.
giving, some advice based on experiences, putting it further in, even if it's a foot or whatever,
Mhm.
you're going to have an instance where you're going to put not only their safety in play, but also those of first responders who have to get out there in these
Yeah.
situations. And it's not good. And that's why
And I'm glad-
I just wanted to say that's just a concern.
I think the other concern would be if they were to raise the driveway and the land there too, that would change as to where the floodwaters would go. And I think that's another thing that has been expressed and discussed. Right. Okay.
Craig, if that were the motion, then I would agree with you. Largely because there will be, I'm sure we will leave it up to the ZHB and the engineers to come up with requirements to minimize, if not to minimize the extent of those changes to the runoff going down into the floodplain. This is different. This is putting the house deeper into the floodplain. Generally, I agree with you. It's preferred. I think it's preferable that we not comment on an application one way or the other. But here where there are significant issues involved, safety, the environment. This is one where I think we need to take a stand. Not to take a stand on this one. In looking at this case and this case only, will send the message that you don't want to send by we'll send a message that's contrary to what you want to do. Saying nothing in this instance is sending a message.
But I think
it's okay with us so long as there are conditions that we like. Not this time. I can't accept the motion, but that's just me. And let's just hear what Ed and you have to say in the public and move on.
So if we don't bring this motion forward, sending this to the advisory boards and the zoning hearing board, what are the possible consequences of that?
Sure. So the application is currently pending before the zoning hearing board. So it's not being sent there. The applicant actually made the application requesting the relief from the zoning ordinance to allow for the relocation of the new home. If the board took no action here, there would be no action, no position taken at all in front of the zoning hearing board, and the planning commission would not be given the opportunity to make comment with respect to this particular application. So if that were to occur, the zoning hearing board would be making a decision in a vacuum, so to speak, without knowing what the planning commission or this board's feelings were with respect to the application.
So it's not a matter, Mark, of whether we agree of what they're building or not building there, or where the floodplain is. What we're trying to do here is make a motion to say, let our advisory boards look at this, who are experts to some degree in certain fields that we are not, and they can come back to us with guidance. And then you can make your decision, even after the zoning hearing board makes a ruling, as to whether you want to move forward with allowing that property to be built or not be built.
I think, and I may be wrong, Joe, but please step in. The ZHB is independent. When it makes its decision, that's it.
This,
I don't-
We can disagree with it.
yes, you can disagree with it, but that disagreement should be noted now. And if in fact the zoning hearing board makes a decision, as long as the township has party status, if it does not like the decision that is made by the zoning hearing board, the township has a right of appeal. But nevertheless, as far as the application is concerned, it's often more beneficial for the property owner to know what the position of the township is if there is going to be any kind of opposition at the outset at a meeting like this. It should be stated for their benefit so that they don't unnecessarily incur costs of going forward with an application that would perhaps at the end of the day be opposed by the township after the fact. So
Well, but right now, Joe, we are not a party to this action.
that's correct. Right now, the
Right.
motion that is before you as a board would allow for me to attend that zoning hearing board meeting to gain party status officially.
Yeah. So if we do that, then if we're going to be a party, I think we should at least convey to the other parties what we think about the application. To say nothing to me in this particular instance is not good enough. When the ZHB makes its decision, that's it. All we have is a right of appeal to the Court of Common Pleas. We don't have a second bite at the apple to say, we don't like what you did to ZHB, so go back and do it again. That's not how it works. We don't have that power.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think because of the concerns, I'm going to ask the board to consider sending the solicitor there to oppose this application. And then if it works through the process where there are certain terms or conditions that can be placed upon that, I think he has the authority then to be able to provide that opinion. The township has the right to provide an opinion based on these applications. Because again, I think like Mark talked about, they want to hear, what does the planning commission have to say? What does the board have to say? They should know that there's concerns and problems. I understand your point. You don't want to make a decision for someone. They are independent. I think there's good folks there, but I think also too, it needs to go that we've got legitimate concerns on this, and that would be my
And yes, and I am considering what everyone is saying here, but see, the one thing we're really missing tonight is the applicant or some sort of legal representation for the applicant. Now that they should have been here. Okay. I'm assuming that they knew, but it's a one-sided argument right now. And that's why I don't like taking a position. It would be nice if to have the applicant here and to be able to hear their side of it and how they want to, work with the township or work with it, so like I said, I hate coming out and saying I oppose this just based on what I see right now. And again, I'm forecasting to them but I am at the same time, I am considering what everyone is saying here. So I do have lots of concerns. And Joe, let me just ask this question. If we just provide all of our concerns here tonight based on the minutes, and that were to be wrapped up and this becomes part of the decision-making process as far as the information, does that have the same weight as if we come out and say we're opposed?
No,
It does not.
it does not have the same
Okay,
weight.
I just wanted. All right.
So, just to dovetail with what Mr. Zinkowski said, I believe, Ms. Bear, when is this application scheduled to be heard by the zoning hearing board? Okay, so there's no,
Haley, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
there's no date yet. It's being
No date yet,
rescheduled,
Mark.
Mark.
Okay, all right.
So
So
with
look,
that,
let me go. Joe, I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
with that being said, Mr. Chairman, perhaps it would make sense in light of the lack of information right now, and the fact that the applicant is not here and does not have to be here at all.
Right.
But the fact that the applicant isn't here, but that there are some concerns that the board has expressed, perhaps the motion should be to oppose at this point in time, with the opportunity for the applicant to then come back before this board, and this board could then reconsider when the applicant comes back before it, if there are reasonable conditions that are acceptable both to the board and the applicant. But it seems to me that right now the motion could be for opposition in the event that that those conditions are not met.
Could it be tabled?
The place for the applicant to stake his position and for the township to stake its position is before the ZHP. It is not to have the applicant and the township circumventing the CHP to discuss and frankly, for lack of better words, do battle back and forth in a BOS meeting.
That's sort of my point then about not providing any type of position. So, but
So
well, no, just the opposite, Craig.
But
Just the opposite.
Mark, there was a question here from Supervisor Dracup as to whether or not this motion could be tabled in light of the fact that the applicant is seeking rescheduling of the zoning hearing. And I believe that would be appropriate because the board would meet again before the hearing would be scheduled. So this could be tabled for now and discussed at a later date.
okay.
All right.
So I move to
Does he need a motion to table it?
You need a motion. You need a motion to table.
no, I think I have to.
Withdraw the motion or table, either way would work, procedural.
Okay, I just like to start to say that we will remove the motion as it's been stated with all of its amendments. And then the second part is table this for now, and we can address this again perhaps in the next BOS meeting.
I second the motion. I second the motion to withdraw, and I second the motion to table.
I don't know, is it an actual motion or just a withdrawal? It doesn't have to be.
Okay. Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, we're going to move on to the next agenda item.
We want to comment on this? Are you going to comment on this?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Well, before let me what I'll do this time is I'll start with the motion. We'll do the second, and then we'll have the comments. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors grant amended final major land development approval for the PA American Water Lock 57 project in accordance with the amended final approval resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
I think the applicant is here and represented by Mr. Catuzzi this evening. Just to kind of frame this, back in 2023, PA American obtained a final major land development approval for the Lock 57 project. At that time, the project was sized sufficiently to serve the existing service area at about 6.6 million gallons per day. PA American service areas expanded. The area that it already has in its service area also had increased utilization or need. As a result, PA American is asking to increase the capacity of plant to 11 million gallons per day from the 6.6. Additionally, back in the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, the EPA was looking at PFA concentrations in drinking water and regulating those concentrations, which now has occurred both at a federal level and a state level. There's recommendations on concentrations of PFAs in drinking water. As a result, PA American now needs to have another building that allows for those PFAs to be treated and extracted really from the drinking water. So there are two pieces to this really. It's the increased capacity of the plant itself and the desire to meet the regulatory need, which is a public health, safety, welfare issue. This is also something that's being mandated by the Public Utility Commission. Since PA American is already mobilized out there on the site with its contractors, if they were forced to go through a full new land development process, there would have to be completion of the existing project, shutting down, and then remobilization of the project, which would cost a pretty penny and really have to be borne by the ratepayers, including those residents of East Vincent Township. So my recommendation here is to allow for a truncated process, which would be an amended final major land development approval. That major land development approval is the approval that was granted back in 2023 by resolution 22-2023. That resolution will be made part of this resolution, and in addition to it, there'd be a few conditions placed upon the applicant to clean up the project a little bit. And to be clear, this project adds about 16,000 square feet of building and about 36,000 square feet total of impervious cover. It doesn't go outside of the limit of disturbance that already was existing under the original project approvals. And any stormwater implications have to be reviewed at both the county level and by our township engineer to your left. This would also allow for, again, PA American to keep mobilized and not have to shut down and then remobilize. The three conditions that we are asking for to be placed on this approval really relate to things that were just loose ends that weren't quite addressed fully in the original approval. One is the dedication of certain roadways that are adjacent to this particular property. Those roadways should be dedicated to the township. Will be dedicated to township. I understand the applicant is willing to do that. The second is with respect to cleaning up just a issue that there is a fee in lieu of for trees. That number has already been agreed to. The amount has already been agreed to. The amount was never tendered to the township. It was just something that slipped through the cracks administratively.
Right.
So we cleaned that up. The third thing is Mr. Zinkowski had suggested that perhaps there should be some kind of domestic water service provision to Independence Park, since the township is planning to develop that park. PA American has agreed to that. We don't exactly know what that's going to look like yet. And there may be some things that have to be adjusted in terms of the overall infrastructure of the system. And frankly, we're not sure at the township level what that looks like in terms of need. But PA American is willing to work together with the township to accommodate that request. So I think in a nutshell, that's what you're looking for. Joe, if you have any other comments, please.
Thank you.
Before he speaks, Mike, do you have anything to add from a technical standpoint or an engineering standpoint?
No, so we have reviewed the plans. We've reviewed the revised stormwater. There doesn't seem to be anything of note in there. They are getting their revised MPDS, and so all of those plan requirements and everything will be addressed by that time. So no, there really is only one basin being affected, one portion of the site. It's remote. It's not near the street. It shouldn't impact the properties or properties around it in any way.
All right, so no runoff issue, no stormwater no stormwater management issue, no potential pollutants going to the Schuylkill issue.
Correct. Yes. So they're expanding a basin that's above it. So there's basins in series, and the basin they're expanding is above the others. So really, there'll be no impact downstream that you would even notice from this development.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Clement, thank you very much for the introduction. I don't have a whole lot to add.
Could you give us your name and?
Sure. Joseph Catuzzi of Stradley Ronan. I'm the attorney that represents Pennsylvania American Water Company.
Thank you.
I think the first thing I'd like to add is just thank you for your time tonight and for consideration of our request. Thank you, Manager Mr. Zinkowski, for your time over the last several weeks. Mr. Kissinger, thank you as well for your review, and thank the board tonight. So I want to make sure we appreciate that. Essentially, I've had the pleasure of actually going as far north as Scranton, all throughout Pennsylvania to work on this PFAS treatment facilities. Essentially, there are all shapes, sizes. They're like a garage shed structure, a building that gets put next to the water source, next to a water treatment plant. Essentially what it is just large pressurized carbonated filters that clean the water and take the PFAS out. That wasn't in place when we got the original approval and designing process, but it's something invariably that we need to do. I would just echo with what Mr. Clement said. The issue, though serious, is that we're in a unique situation where we've already acquired equipment, we've purchased materials, we've mobilized, we have construction contracts, and one way or the other for the public welfare, this is about removing contaminants from a water that we have no choice but to do it. And just another note on the capacity, it's interesting. There are wells in the township that do supply feed water into the system. Those wells are going offline, so we're losing capacity for the small bump out that we're putting for the extra capacity on the building. We do appreciate the quick turnaround on the resolution. We're willing to comply with all of that with just the note of we have some unknowns about we're willing to provide water to Independence Park.
Mhm.
There's just the unknowns where we don't know the capacity needs that the township has. And also there's some uncertainties. We don't currently have the pressure to actually get there. So we're willing to provide written assurances to the township that we're going to provide water there. There's just a little bit of a gap of information about what we have for that. And the only other thing in full transparency, certainly all the stormwater, all the NPDS, all that conservation district approvals, we understand that that's all going to be a condition of getting this plan recorded. Just to note that there are, given the nature of this work, water treatment facilities, there are some additional ancillary permits for that type of use that we are committed to obtaining, and we do need to obtain before we could actually operate this. Those are not related to like the BMPs and the stormwater. They're related to the operational aspect. We will get all those, but some of those may take until January to get. So at the end of the day, we're committing fully that this will receive all federal, state regulatory permits. Just there are some of them related specifically to the nature of what we do that we may not be able to have in place until potentially January.
Okay.
Aside from that, I do have representatives if anyone has any questions, but we appreciate your time tonight and would request your support and approval.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, a couple questions. One is, I understand, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, that there will be, because of the original plan, there were some fees in lieu of plantings there, that'll be coming shortly then to the township so that we would be able to use those fees for trees to be planted across the street.
Yes.
So determined. And then my last comment is I'd like to thank you for PA American Water for providing free water to Independence Park. That's really very.
He's joking.
I understand.
I'm glad you said that, Joe.
I actually liked it, so I'm okay with it.
Such a deal.
Public comment, I guess, Mr. Chairman.
Mark, is there anything you would like to ask before I go to public comment?
No.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment from those who are, okay.
Larry Shank, 130 Shady Lane. So I live right next door to the plant, or the existing plant. I do have a question about, I'm hearing increased capacity numbers and things like that. And so this is really, I guess, aimed at the representatives for PA American. Does this require additional construction that was not necessarily planned or presented previously at the existing plant?
Sure. Yep.
I think we've met before.
So David Lentowski with his Pennsylvania American Water, and to your question, no, will not. Everything is within that footprint. So again, anything that we're going to do would be like an increase of a pump or something like that. It's going to be within that construction area. So you're not going to see anything as far as additional construction that's going to affect you.
Okay. I think that's really my only question at this point, other than just, again, for PA American to remember that the township does have a construction/noise ordinance, and your crews, you did have crews back in the fall that were working until midnight operating heavy equipment. So would appreciate if that doesn't happen anymore.
So just because of the process of the plant, some of that work did have to be taken care of in the midnight hours, so that you didn't take the service out from the customer base during the day. So
We weren't aware of it.
Gotcha.
We were directly affected by it because the trucks were just a few hundred feet from the property.
Sure. So what we can do in the future, if something like that were to happen, then we do a shutdown in the evening. If that does happen, or if we're going to be operating after hours, we can definitely notify you. That's not a problem.
Yeah, just notify the township. if you
Or the
would. We'll-
township,
We'll
that's
get it
fine.
out to the residents.
Yeah.
Yeah, we send letters out also to all of our residents, but yeah, our customers. Yeah,
Of course.
Okay.
Can you stay up here in case other people have questions?
Sure,
for you,
sure.
please?
Yes, please.
Cindy Ramsey, 116 Penhurst Road. speaking of PA Water Company, our traffic on our street with this heavy equipment, they're not doing 20 miles an hour. They're flying down the hills. We've got big equipment, dump trucks coming through, cement mixers, which almost took out our neighbor the other day on his own property coming down. You know, we addressed you guys last year about the traffic on our street and the possibility of maybe some speed bumps, something to slow the traffic down, especially now that there's a park, now that there's all this construction going on, now that there's a data center possibly in the works or being discussed. We really have to do something about our traffic. It's a small neighborhood. We're paying the price for everybody else to have what they want there in our neighborhood. You know, people walk their dogs. We've got vets now during the weather walking with walkers down our street. You know, I almost saw a man get hit. Are you okay? Can I help you? You know, we've asked you guys to address this before. We're coming back to you again. We're asking you to get the construction people to please pay attention. There's, you know, it's a small road. It doesn't handle this kind of equipment. It doesn't handle this kind of traffic. I've been there since 1984. I've watched the constant changes. And it's time that you guys step up and do something. I called the police department, last week before, and said, I'm going to start standing in the middle of the road. I'm going to park my car out there.
Please don't do that.
Because you're not doing
Right,
anything. And the police department never showed up, never contacted me, nothing.
And you had called them?
Yes, I did. I
and they
left a
never
message.
showed up.
Nobody answered. I know they're busy. I know there's other things going on, but we're really tired of it.
Yeah. Okay. So let me address this. So what I'd like to say here is, since you're here, we're going to ask you to lower the speed. Now, if that does not occur, I'm going to be asking Bob in conjunction with our police department to put down temporary barriers to slow down the traffic and force it. So that's
Why not do that now, Craig?
We've been asking for that. We've
Why
been
not
asking.
do it now?
so
We have a motion on the table here, and we're dealing with traffic that's not, so make your request to him, please.
Yeah.
Let's deal with that.
okay.
And
Well,
Yes. Please respond.
Sure, yes. I was going to say, this is the first we've heard of this. So
Mhm.
again, it's not an issue. We will definitely speak to our contractor. If they are, again, excessively speeding or something like that on the roadway, we will make our contractor aware of that. So that is a definite. So again, it's the first we've heard of it.
Okay. Okay. So Bob,
Yes,
you know, we're in
actually,
public
Chief
comment,
Williams,
so-
Chief Williams, I'm gonna have him come, but also too is, we have a staff traffic committee that will be starting next month. I'll let you know. But also too, in response, we do have these portable speed humps that we've ordered. They're in stock. But also, we came up with these signs here in response. I'm not sure if anybody on your street has them. Because well, I tell you what, I'm gonna use my experience from another town. These slowed people down, but there was a call for it, and we figured that take them and use them. But since we did this, we only have 6 people that actually pick these up. We'll be more than happy to drop them off. Well, pardon? Well, we actually did made it public that it was available. So,
well, hold on a second. If you want to address, could you please come up here? If you give us your name and address, please. That's okay.
Sandy Mattingly at 120 Penhurst Road, and I have no knowledge of any sign. If I did, I sure as heck would have put one in, because I myself have thought about putting my own signs up saying, slow the F down. There are kids down here. Just the other morning, I couldn't believe it. Here comes a concrete truck barreling down the road, had to have been doing at least 45 miles an hour. A concrete truck. It's like kids across the street. They're little kids.
Mhm,
All they
mhm.
have to do is accidentally run out of the street,
You're making
and they'd have been smashed.
a good
You
point
know,
here.
it's
So-
ridiculous.
Yes.
and it was on the.
I'll take a sign.
We'll
We'll put
get
signs
you the
along the
frame.
whole road.
It was on the website, and then I actually made a presentation, and I made a presentation at one of these meetings.
Here's how we'll
So
address that.
We're
Here-
gonna get them out to you.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. We'll do
Here's,
it.
here's what we'll
Perfect.
do for maybe people in the public that don't know about this. For the next newsletter that we send out, let's put that in there. Let's do maybe include a picture of the sign, and we'll let them know that way as well. So
Right, look, guys, I'm all in favor of the signs. Heaven knows we posted, we talked about this last year because it was a Barton Meadows issue, just as it was a Carrington Homes issue. They're helpful, but in this particular instance, we've heard from these people time and time again. If we have the temporary strips, please Bob, let's just put them in.
There'll be a spot where, we've got to do the measurements. I would like to hear from the chief, because this is so not the chief and his department. So the chief is around. So as soon as he steps back in the room, we'll ask him.
I'm going to tell you, I called
All right.
the secretary at the police department. Emailed me back, said, we have them, but we're waiting for people to decide. If we can put them in." You know how
Well-
long ago that is? I can pull up the email.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not aware of that. We've got
Could
to
you
put them in. So, but we've got to designate where we need to put those.
yes,
So
we'll do that.
yeah, it's
So-
not a problem.
I was just making one other comment. We take safety very seriously at American Water.
Mhm.
So if that is something our contractor is doing, we will have those discussions. That is a given. That is a given. So I will.
Sir, now let me ask you, sir, is this also a continuation of the traffic? Okay, so let me say that yes, on construction. Okay, please come up then. What I want to say is if anyone has any other concerns concerning the speed and all that, I want you to send that information to Bob. And if you have it in emails and all that, just forward it, and then he will take care of that with the staff. And I'm okay. Bob, if you wanna-
Chief, maybe we can address this. There was a concern from a resident that about speed on Penhurst, and that police did not respond on that.
We have the thing up there as we speak. Trying to get that. I know they ran one detail out there.
I can't hear him.
Matt, if you come up to the microphone.
some residents right here.
Yes,
Last week.
I thought,
I said I can park my car out there.
I can get Sergeant Gammon right next door. For 1 second, I know, give me 1
I
second.
didn't see anyone come out of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me just, so I don't get quote saying, but if you know the speed box is out there.
Can we address this in public comment and get this motion off the table?
Okay, so I know the speed box is out there recording speed as we speak. That's that box that's on the thing. And I do know that Sergeant Gammon sent somebody out there. Now, I'm gonna find out if he talked directly to you, but I know that there was a detail being done. Because I want to say they wrote like 7 citations. But I can get that for you. If you want to step outside, we can talk real quick. And you can keep your meeting on.
Yeah, so what I would say, any further comments on this, we can leave it for the end of the meeting and talk about it there. Or I recommend just talking to the staff here. And we'll get this addressed. Please, you had questions about construction.
Yes, Stephen Weidler, 130 Penhurst.
Thank you.
I was out trimming my hedge, which is, I try and keep it back so the 20-mile-per-hour sign is visible. The only one that people can see coming from, well, I should say the back. As soon as you leave the construction site. No, I think that's there, but yeah, my sign is the only one that they can see after they leave the construction site. It is down the hill before they see it. I'm out there trimming my hedges. I almost get run over by a cement truck because there's a car coming the other direction. He's pulling over. Here I am. Here's the white line. And it was in excess of 20 miles per hour. I'm not an expert, but when my body moves with the force of the truck going by, I drive a truck for a living. So I kind of know the mass of a truck going by a person.
Yeah.
Another sign where something needs to be put in before they start coming down the hill.
What I would do is, like I was saying to everyone here, please bring some of those concerns to the staff here, and then
Right.
we'll take.
I only brought it up because construction is here.
Yes.
It's not just cement, it's
Yeah.
the dump trucks also. I
Okay.
don't see the Allen Myers ones. It's more the private contractors. Okay, those are the trucks that I see speeding. I don't really see the Allen Myers drivers doing it, but it's the different color trucks.
It's different.
They're responsible. So that's all part of the construction. So
Yeah.
we will, again, we will.
But
have that conversation.
What I
Craig,
they're gonna address it, and we won't have to ask them anymore because you're gonna take care of it. So,
Thank you.
and then we'll have, if we need to put those barriers out there on the road, then we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay.
all right, Craig, I agree with Ed that we should restrict the public comment right now just to the motion. If anybody
Yes.
has any more comments about trucks going too fast or signage or what have you, let them come forward at the end of the meeting.
Yes. Please. Haley, is anyone raising their hand online at all? Nobody. Okay.
Monica Scriver, Valley Creek Lane. I attended the planning commission last month and we didn't get, I was doing it remotely, so we weren't connected right away. And so I had some comments about the changes. And I just wanted to ask a couple questions, and I don't need answers for the one. And that is, I attended a tour of Coatesville's water treatment plant, and the gentleman that gave us the tour said that PFAS is everywhere. He's like, you're not getting rid of that. So I would be interested to know what this facility is going to look like, how they're planning on cleaning the PFAS out of there. That would be good to educate residents so we know and are reassured how everything works. You don't have to answer me now. It's just something, if we could put it up on the website and say, hey, here's
Okay.
how things work, that would be really nice.
One of the things we're going to do in working with Elaine and her outstanding EAC is have several public meetings in regards to, I know we've got public health coming with mosquitoes. We'd like to have PA American Water come in and talk, about water quality, because every so often articles will hit PICO about the energy grid, those types of things. Those are coming to be able
Good.
to address
Okay.
those concerns.
Perfect. So my second question was, and forgive my memory, when this was built, the 5.5 million gallon, is that per day? That was what?
Six.
Well,
Yeah.
it was projected 6.6, but it was going to handle the 5.5 that they needed. And now we're coming back and saying it's 11 something. So how many houses can be serviced with 6.6 million gallons per day at a water treatment plant? How many households? I don't remember the number. That's why.
I don't have the projection either as far as that goes, but as far as the reason why the plant is being expanded in general is because with the PFAS treatment, you have not two, there's more than additional wells that are basically have PFAS in them right now that don't meet the regulatory standard. So they will have to be taken offline. So you'll lose that source and you're going to be basically treating it at the plant, which is more cost effective than trying to treat it there out in the system. In addition, we have an interconnect. We're going to lose that too. There's a lot of other sources you're going to lose that basically this plant is going to take care of that whole at a broad spectrum in a centralized location.
Okay.
So
that's the reason I ask is that at 11 whatever million gallons, that's a lot of households. And if part of this is being changed because there's some projection coming, it would be nice for transparency that as residents, we know that. So just.
No, Monica, the additional 5 million aren't dedicated to our township, as I understand it. This the 5 million are part of the company's overall market, not just us.
Right.
Okay.
And just point of clarification, I believe, as was indicated here, it's not actually an additional 5 million. There's certain wells coming offline. It's not just a increase of 5 million. There is an increase in capacity, but it's not just 5 million overall.
right, that is correct.
Please.
Elaine Melito, Holman Miller. I'm just, in general, I don't like I'm all for treating PFAS, so I'm glad that's going to happen. But two things. This was a final plan and it's coming back with revisions, a lot of revisions, a new building and all this increased. And seems to me that in general, once we have a final plan, we shouldn't be able to somebody shouldn't be able to just come back with a new final plan and not have it reviewed again. I mean, this is the second time this has happened. The last one was over in Spring City. They came back with a plan that had 3-story buildings and it wasn't reviewed again. And somehow that makes that, I don't understand that. So, and also as far as construction goes, I thought they're building a whole new building for the PFAS. So I didn't understand that answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please. And I believe that
I'll be brief.
Yes,
I'll be
go
brief.
ahead.
Steve Hacker, 881 Brown Drive. As far as the PFAS building, the best thing we could do for all the heavy traffic is to let them finish the project. So, I mean, PFAS is a terrible thing that's happening in this world everywhere, especially, in this country. And I think it would be crazy to have them stop this project and then build the building. They have all the equipment there. They have everything running there. I know it was already finalized, but I think just to go back to the construction and the project and everything, the sooner they can get this done, we'll solve the construction problem. So, and our road has just as much heavy traffic as Penhurst Road does. So I would just say that let's get this thing done.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Is there any questions? Okay.
Call for the question.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We're going to the next agenda item, item C. This is concerning the proposed rental fee. So I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors approve the Parks and Recreation facility rental fee schedule. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions by the board?
Just an explanation from Bob. Please.
Sure, this is something that Parks and Recreation Board had worked on, that took this on and did some research on the different fees and came up with this proposal. Again, I want to recognize the hard work of the members on that board for taking this up, doing the research and putting together this document, and would ask the board to consider approving it.
And we should, if anyone's not aware of this, I mean, this is for certain groups, for a certain time limit, like a 4-hour rental. I see here, there's 3 hours for courts, and for fields, a 4-hour window. Pavilion rentals, 4-hour. So this is for, just so the public is aware, it's for those time periods. This does not restrict people from using the parks or the facilities. If you're coming in and you haven't reserved it, you want to use the facilities, of course, there's no problem. But this is, if you were to want to reserve that, there'll be a cost associated with that for a certain time period. Yes, please. Yes.
Again, 120 Penhurst Road. My only question with that is, I know in other townships they have the same situation, and I'm all for it in terms of, bringing in some income. But my understanding with some of the other townships is that if you are a resident of that county and you want to utilize like the pavilion, they usually don't have a cost for township residents. It would be people coming from, like say Spring City or Phoenixville or, some local area that would like to use that pavilion, and then they would be the ones that would be paying, for the rental. So I just, if you could just consider that as an option for East Vincent residents not having to pay, or even a lower cost than, residents that don't belong to East Vincent.
There is a cost savings if you're a resident. Yes. So just using on the pavilion rentals. So it's $50 for residents, and for non-residents, it's $100. Now this is for a 4-hour rental window. Right. So that is, yeah. So that does address that. Yes. Yeah. You're welcome. And same thing is here for the fields and the courts. Same thing. Yeah. You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Anything online? Nothing. Okay.
Call the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Going to the next item here. This is item D on the business agenda. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors authorize the township to enter into an municipal agreement with East Pikeland Township for the Pikeland Avenue repaving project as set forth in the attached resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions by the board?
I have questions.
Okay.
Do we determine what the proportionate share of miles or the amount of paving was responsible for each respective township?
Yes, actually, so in this situation, it actually, the line runs right down the middle of the road, so it's literally 50-50.
Okay.
Okay.
So my second question is who's in control of the bidding?
We would be.
Okay, so we'll this board will ultimately determine who gets the bid
Correct.
and who making sure that they're insured.
Correct.
Gotcha. I'm good.
Mark, any questions or comments?
None.
So I'll open this up for public comment. Is there any questions here or online?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to recognize Jason McCann for his work in doing this work like the board had asked for these, intermunicipal agreements and arrangements to help defray some costs, and also to Mike for his ability to help pull this together.
I love to hear these things, as you know. Anytime we can find ways to reduce costs, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, just Bob, ballpark, what are the expected cost savings on an annualized basis for us?
It's only one road.
So, Mark, this is a one-off project. It's about 0.78 miles of road, I believe it was, something along of that nature. But this is just a one-off situation where it made sense for East Vincent to take the lead. The cost savings really that Jason is able to, I guess, to effectuate is that the base repair, after there's a milling done, the base repair of the East Vincent portion of the road will be done by Public Works. So that's a significant cost savings for this project. If East Pikeland wants to do the same thing, that's fine. We also provided in the agreement that if East Pikeland wants to utilize Jason's crew to do that, that's fine, but they have to reimburse the township for those costs.
Okay.
The other part too, just to add on to that, is the entire road gets done instead of only a half of the road gets done. And then if it's ever determined in the future that it gets done, it may not match up appropriately, then you may have other issues that are created because of base repair, and it's just more cost effective when you repave the entire road.
Yep.
Here. Agreed. Call a question?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to move to the next agenda item. Again, this is a discussion of data centers. This is a discussion only. There's no action that's going to happen here. So I will just open this up. There's no motion to bring about. And is there anyone from the public that would like to discuss? Well, actually, I'm sorry. Could
Little context?
That's what I forgot to, yes. Could you please provide some context?
So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So as you know, it's quite some time ago now, a property owner in the township had approached the township about the potential for data center uses in the township, and in particular the IMU district. That property owner had suggested that perhaps under the IMU district, these were permitted under a catch-all provision that is actually in the general industrial district, but is part of the IMU district. So without offering an opinion on that one way or another, they did also ask if we would consider a data center ordinance. We started to craft that ordinance, and this is the first step publicly, if you will, where after being directed by Mr. Zinkowski to start to craft that ordinance, we wanted to bring it forward so that the public had full awareness of what was going on. The next step, of course, would be to bring this to the Planning Commission in actual ordinance format. At that Planning Commission meeting next month, I will present what we have as a framework of an ordinance. The Planning Commission will be able to comment on that, provide feedback, and actually that will be the opportunity too for the public to really have input in a very public way in what this ordinance ultimately looks like. There is no draft ordinance that's up for adoption right now. We are at the very first stage of this process, and we're trying to craft something that fits within the township's ordinances and addresses all of the concerns that the residents and this board have from an environmental perspective, from a use perspective, and from a construction perspective.
Right.
Again,
Right,
we
in
are.
addition- In addition to all that, when we present the planning commission with a copy of which I was talking about, copies will also go automatically at the same time to each of the boards and commissions, and will also be posted online so that all comments will be funneled through and presented to the planning commission. So whatever EAC may have, open space, whatever, all those the committees will go forward, will go before the planning commission to present their views.
Yes, thank you.
You stole Bob's thunder.
Sorry, Bob.
So what I want to add to this is that as of right now, I think the answer that you're going to hear tonight is we really can't comment on this, not until it gets to the planning commission. And then everybody should come out, and all the concerns that you have, and we have concerns too, bring them up, please. I see the concerns online. I hear it whispered down the lane. I know there's a lot of concerns, but tonight would not be, I would just say, not be the night to really be able to discuss this. Now, I'm opening this up for public comment. I'm not going to stop anyone from making public comment unless it's repeating. But really, when it goes through the planning commission, we'll know a lot more. We'll know how to craft our questions, and then we'll be able to address all the concerns that everyone has. So I'll just go back and say, is there any public comment on the data centers?
Public comment and go to township manager and solicitor report.
Okay.
And then
Maybe if I could just, one thing before. There, just to be clear, there is no application that has been submitted to the township for anything. There hasn't been. When Joe and myself, we had heard that there was some indication from the property owner that this is something that he may be considering bringing forward. The conversation is let's get to the board to be proactive on this. Let's get this out forward. The board agreed to get this out into the planning commission, begin the open process of conversation and hearing this, being proactive, and not all of a sudden we're reacting, and then all of a sudden there may be things that we may not want to see that current zoning has, that we get out in front of this and try to take control of, if this is something that's going to be proposed, is this going to work here in the township, and have that public conversation now and not where it's already in the process.
Rachel.
I told you it was coming, Rachel.
I knew it was coming. Rachel Griffith, Hofecker Road. So, Mr. Solicitor, you probably already reviewed this, but just in case you didn't, I was looking at the zoning ordinance of Loudoun County, Virginia, which is like the hotbed of data centers, and I wanted to see what they were doing related to data centers, and their ordinance was adopted in 2023. So presumably they were taking into consideration all the stuff that's been going on there. And I printed out a couple copies of it that I'll hand out to you. But just some things that they noted in their ordinance. They have there's a lot about facade treatments, which I don't know that I would have thought about, but maybe facade treatments were an issue. They also have pretty significant setback requirements from residential uses, like 400 feet. And they also have some good language about noise abatement and putting sound walls around things. So I just wanted to note that I know you're coming to the Planning Commission, but in case there's any good ideas in here that you might want to update your draft with.
Yeah, thanks,
Okay.
Rachel. And we did take a look at that when we put this together. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll talk about this more with the Planning Commission in great detail, but the facade treatment is something I think we really need to talk about. The other thought that we had here is, of course, conditional use, so that there is control as opposed to just a by right use without conditions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Always have to make at least 2 appearances. Larry Shank, 130 Shady Lane. I'm glad you're bringing this up. We've talked about it. I know I've come up and made some comments about it. And I preface this by saying, despite my young, youthful looks, I've been in IT for a very long time, started in about 1986. So I think a great idea would be, there is a large data center nearby in Collegeville. It's behind the GSK facility. It's on a road called Troutman Road, Troutman and Black Rock. It's owned by a company called Flex Central. I can send you the information. I've toured it. I've been inside of it. Maybe the board, the planning commission, maybe the folks in public safety in the township might want to go for a tour. They do offer tours. You can sign up for one or request one on their website, and it would give you an idea of what's involved. I think the last time I got up here, I mentioned the fact that that one's pretty impressive. It was state of the art at the time. It's probably about 15 years old by now. I don't know, 4, 6, 8 Caterpillar V8 diesel engines or V12 diesel engines in there. About 80,000 gallons of diesel fuel stored in above ground tanks on site. Large lead acid batteries. It generates about 7.2 megawatts of power to run the facility. It's intended to be completely, as most data centers are, isolated so that if the grid goes down, they can continue to provide service to their customers. And I bring these things up because I also spent 23 years as a volunteer firefighter in New Jersey, right? This stuff presents challenges, right? High voltage electricity, large hazardous materials, situations that can occur. So I'm not advocating one way or another. I'm just saying that there's a lot to think about with this. We are still kind of a rural town. I honestly don't know what our fire coverage looks like, how I'm sure they're very well trained for what they do and what they know, but this can present a whole set of new challenges that I think it's really good that the board and the township look at deeply before we start saying, let's do this.
Could you do me a favor?
Sure.
If you know the website for this, could you just email it to me at the township here, and then I'll try to make sure I can get a tour, and see the facility. I'd like to just, I've also, I think we've all been doing some research, but actually seeing it and being able to see, again, the
It's incredible.
technology is like, 15 years old, but it still would be great to see it. And
It's an incredible facility. It really is.
If you don't mind sending that to me, then I can
sure
set up a tour at some time.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just while the next person is coming up, I've already reached out to two engineering firms that deal with the environmental impacts. And they have agreed that if and when an application comes, they will be able to assist here. And I will at that time bring forward those agreements for the board to consider for approving. But there are firms that were already taking the steps of lining up people to make sure that all the concerns are addressed, of the concerns like you brought up, and even concerns of neighbors and residents and the impacts in there, the whole thing. That's why I'm very happy that we're starting now.
I'd like a suggestion though. I mean, to go see it again, you mentioned 15 years old, but still I'd like to see it and just being able to. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes, please.
Loretta Brianza Lumen, 118 Penhurst Road. Just concerned exactly where the location is going to be, since we live near the VA hospital.
Well, let me stop you for a second. There's nothing's been approved. I just want
Is
to make
there a
sure.
suggested site from the owner, whoever the owner is?
No, not right now.
No. Okay, is it possible to disclose who the owner is that's proposing this?
It might be public information already.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Penhurst Holdings, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, please.
Monica Scriver, Valley Creek Lane. At the Planning Commission in June 21st, 2022. I'm not sure that was a formal presentation or a asking the Planning Commission what their goals and visions were for the Penhurst property, but there was a presentation made. And again, Mike Kissinger actually was the one who presented it at the time for the Penhurst LLC. And it kind of was there, and when I heard it, I didn't really, it was just an idea. And I know there's no plan submitted, but because it was mentioned in the past, I think there was a plan out there. I never got to see the plan. I think people in the planning commission did get to see the plan. So I understand what you're saying. There's no current plan, but this was mentioned. And I think we should, I know you're going to bring this up at the planning commission next month and people should have their comments there. But if you're creating an ordinance, I'm hoping we're going to be able to have some say or some suggestions on things that we think are important.
That's what's happening at the planning commission.
So we go there and then we give you our recommendations of what we think.
We intend to provide a framework, and it's not by any means a complete framework of an ordinance. It's the starting point of the ordinance. Has some bulk criteria, some dimensional criteria pulled from different ordinances from around this community, but also down as far as Virginia. We put all of that together, and really we did that with the property owner. We could present that to the planning commission for input, feedback, not only from the planning commission, but also from the public. So again, this is like, we needed to start somewhere. Here's where we started.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Welcome. Yes, please.
Elaine Melito, Holman Mill Road. So I'm very glad that you're being proactive here, because the sooner we get an ordinance on this, the better. But the EAC meeting is next week, and you mentioned that the EAC would be able to present its concern to the Planning Commission, which is in 2 weeks. Is this ordinance far enough along to get to the EAC?
I would think you'd want to get that to the planning commission first and then have it come to you then.
Okay.
So you're actually working on some context of what they're after.
All right,
on.
fine.
And I think that
Okay.
would probably be the best. I'd recommend the best process if you're okay
All
with
right,
that.
so, yeah, that's fine. But it's just that they said the EAC could give its input. so-
Absolutely, absolutely. There will
But
be
no,
opportunity.
yeah, all right, but we'd have to see. So I'm very glad that you are looking up the environmental impacts, Bob. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Real brief again, Steve Hacker, 881 Brown Drive. I would thank you for getting ahead on this, because we've already, as stated earlier, put up with years-long construction projects, and this one will be too, I'm sure. From what I've looked into this a little bit, it appears, besides the obvious of the power and the water, but it appears that noise is a real problem with
Well,
these
let
two.
me-
So I know it's a planning commission thing.
It was a good comment just made a little bit ago. We shouldn't speculate. There's going to be a lot of information that goes for the planning commission. So you can all, I mean, believe me, come out and tell, these are my concerns and what are you doing here? And but let's avoid the speculation a little bit.
Yeah, I would just say
I
thanks
get
for getting
every
ahead of it.
reason why you're concerned. I do, but we can't answer it here. And when it goes to the planning commission, then bring it up, please, everybody.
May 20th is the next planning commission meeting.
Time.
Yeah. Are there? Will have to be moved. Yeah, this building would be occupied. Yeah.
I can't hear Haley, I'm sorry.
we'll be back in touch with the meeting date for the planning commission.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions? Oh, please.
Okay, they can. Okay, gotcha.
Hi, everybody. Chris McNeil. I'm glad that you're still in the initial process of the zoning creation. Last Thursday, in anticipation that you may have been working on a zoning ordinance for this, I did submit something to all of you, and I hope that you'll take the time to read what I've sent to you. And it also went through Bob, and then he also forwarded it to the 3 supervisors and Joe. And I worked with Kevin Coyle, who is very involved in Virginia with all of the data centers. And he brought up a series, I would say, of about 15 concerns. And I hope that in your deliberations that all of those 15 concerns will be addressed, because they're very critical. And they range from, the water withdrawal. And when you bring in electricity, there's a lot that has to come to bring electricity to that site. Obviously, there's noise. And as someone has said, we have an inadequate noise ordinance. So we also will need to amend our noise ordinance.
Christine, like all of this, it will be addressed, in the.
I
planning
understand.
commission.
I think I have a right for 2 minutes to talk, don't I, Craig,
Yes,
without
you
being
do. You do.
interrupted?
You
Thank
do.
you. I want to bring up another issue. I know that you are struggling with financing and wanting to find alternative ways besides taxing residents. But I want to remind you that all that glitters is not gold, and that this facility will depreciate over time, that we should really take a hard look. I know we need to protect ourselves, but I want you to take a hard look at this use and what it means for this township, the impact of all the neighborhoods, and say, is this the right fit? Let's ask that question. Let's just not dive in. I know we need to protect ourselves, but in accepting a use, is this the right fit for a township? We've just reviewed our mission statement. 2 of the 3 of you were elected based on keeping East Vincent rural. Are there other ways to generate revenue on that 100-acre site? Hey, you know what? I'll throw a little pasta up on the wall and see if it's, sticks. Well, we didn't like that tire center, but I'll throw out the data center. What are we as a township doing instead of responding to a developer who's throwing pasta up on the wall to see if it sticks? What are we doing to proactively decide what kind of uses we want? I know there's been a lot of talk about the 724 corridor and commercial development. But what about this 100 acres? Seriously, when you really think about it deeply, and I'm asking you all to think about it deeply in this township, is that the best fit for a township that wants to be rural? So please take a hard look at what Kevin Coyle has put together as, I think, a master class on what the impacts are for data centers. He's also available to talk to any one of you at any time if you'd like to talk with him. But he's at the center of it all in Virginia. I'm glad you're looking at the Virginia issues because it's mammoth. One last point. Once they bring in all the infrastructure, what's to say that they then, a couple of years later, just like the water company came in here, oh, I think we want to expand it. And the noise doesn't go away. And as Kevin's article talks about, children are sleeping in their basements because the noise is so bad. There's a low vibrational noise that never ceases. So just letting you know about that.
Kristen,
Thank you.
Just ask a quick question. the information that you sent us are we able to contact this person? Is there a phone number or something like that?
Well, I
in there?
think, Kevin's a busy person, so if the township as a group wanted to
Mhm.
have a discussion, he would do that with you.
Okay, I'm just wondering, is there any contact information, email or phone number?
I didn't put that in the
Okay.
paper. I just gave you his name and his credentials.
Okay,
But he did say that if you had, like a single type of a conversation, if you
Mhm.
wanted to do that, he certainly would make himself available for that.
okay, all right,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, please.
I think what I just heard Chris say is that we don't really have this use at Penhurst right now. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
No, okay. So what is correct about where?
Under the IMU district, there's a catch-all provision that's incorporated into it by way of the general industrial district, which allows for any use except for a very specific excluded use. So basically, any use that's permitted in the general industrial or in the IMU district, or any other use that's not specifically prohibited, is permitted.
Okay, so because if the use is not there, then maybe it's premature to make an ordinance to say, oh yeah, we can put it there. And then that would be dangerous. So the use is understood. I mean, I know in zoning ordinances, you have to have the ability to have a use for everything in this township.
So Pennsylvania has what they call Euclidean zoning after the city of Euclid. And that it's inclusive zoning. So yes, you must provide for every use. You can do so by way of regional planning. We've talked about these things in the past. However, right now, I don't want to offer a specific legal opinion about a particular use in the IMU district. However, there is that catch-all provision, like I indicated, that provides for every use that is not specifically prohibited.
Okay, and that's in our IMU.
It's
district.
in your IMU by way of an incorporation into the general industrial requirements. Yes.
All right. So that makes a big difference because you
I
don't.
wanted to,
It's a new use, so our zoning ordinance was made in the early 2000s. So
one of the uses that could go there, and there's interest, I believe okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
If there would be other uses up there that may not fit into our rural character.
There are in the general industrial and in the industrial mixed use zoning, there are a number of uses that are permitted, some by right, some by conditional use, some by special exception, which typically would not fall within the general rural character of any community, but they are uses that must be provided for. So transfer stations, crematories, resource extraction, manufacturing in general. So there are a number of uses that are there, and unfortunately, it's just the reality of zoning in Pennsylvania and having this Euclidean zoning structure where it's inclusive zoning. You can't exclude things. Yeah.
So that would be another plug for being in a regional plan, because when you're in a regional plan, you can send it to some other place in the regional plan.
Or it gets sent here.
But the idea that usually when you have the regional plan, there is somebody in that plan that wouldn't mind having that. So that,
my only comment's going to be, I think we've got good people here. I don't like the regional idea because again, it's comes down to that, not in my backyard, and who has the authority to push it. And based on recent experience in this township, there are those who like to see and support certain types of industry to be moved in East Vincent Township, which we've already fought coming in here. So that knife cuts two ways.
Well, yeah, I just remember I went to those regional plan meetings. I was the representative from the planning commission. And my it was a long time ago, but my recollection was that the regional plan had no ability to just say, you're in our plan, you're taking this use. You had to agree to it.
Well, it's way more complicated than that, but of course, and I think that one of the things that we have to remember is that the county has identified this particular township as a high growth area, which is not something that anybody wants to see from a regional perspective, I don't think right now.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or any comments online? Oh, one online. Okay.
Hi, Molly Weigel, 19 Carrigan Avenue. As we're going through this exercise, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of where, kind of where we're starting from. So especially when we talk about, the data centers and other heavy industrial uses, you're talking about these massive diesel generators. So for awareness, East Vincent and East Coventry, when you look at particulate matter maps, the particulate matter in our air quality is much higher than, say, West Vincent and some of these other townships. So when we have, residents with underlying conditions, it's important for everyone to know where are we starting from and what are we bringing in and what sort of conditions are we exacerbating for the underlying health conditions of our residents. So I just wanted to make sure that the board is aware as we start going through these exercises.
That's a very important concern, and believe me, that you should bring that to the planning commission. When this comes up, please attend. If you can't attend in person, please attend online.
I will attend and I will bring maps.
Okay. Okay. We'll know who you are when you come in with the maps, Molly. So thank you very much. Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments? Okay, so what I'm going to do is we'll move off the discussion. We're going to go to the next item on the agenda, which is the township manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few items to go through. First, I'd like to bring up Police Chief Williams. If you have some information in regards to the previous question. Here, okay.
I apologize, I said 7 citations on the road. That was on that detail. So that also included on Bridge Street. I don't have a definite that you got called back, so I'm going to stand here and eat crow right now because it doesn't say it in the report, but I will talk to Sergeant Gammon. He's on the call. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, one last thing. After this weekend, we'll have that box, so I can give you some data. I'll give you a call about that.
Great. Thanks.
All right, an update to Brown Drive in the reimbursing residents for one of the tap-in fees. There was a little confusion on that, but we've received over two-thirds of the money currently that Bill has. And we are working through DCED and Senator Muth's office, which I think we've gotten that resolved. So now it's just a matter of the process. And we will be back in front of the board here in June for the board to consider approving this and authorizing the checks to be sent to those residents, reimbursing them for that secondary tap-in fee. I do want to make very clear that Senator Muth, by attending the meetings, listening to the residents for a while, she initiated the funding for this, put this in the budget, and with her chief of staff, Nikki Whitlock, I mean, they've done an outstanding job. So they are due all the credit on this. So Senator Muth, Nikki, your office, you heard the residents, you acted, and we are very appreciative of all your hard work and efforts on that. So thank you for all you did on that.
Thank you.
Staff traffic, as I mentioned before, we will be having, this will be the first, we'll be creating this. We will have a date coming up in mid-June. As soon as we get that finalized, we'll post that out to the website and let everybody know. That will meet on a regular basis monthly. on the same day. We'll try to get the same date, like the third Wednesday of the month. It will always be, but the date and time. If you have any questions on traffic, I'm going to pretty much bet very highly that Pennhurst will be on that agenda, on that meeting agenda, to be discussed, as well as other items that residents have that will be brought to our attention, or if the board has, or brought up at these meetings, that we will answer. So that's something that I know we're all looking forward to, starting that.
Please, yep, good. Yeah, you might have to come up here so we can hear you.
All those
Yeah.
things like sight distance and all that, those will all be things that are.
I'm
very
asking
well-
because the house on the corner, as you go to make a right onto Bridge, has put these lovely evergreens there. But the one closest to the corner has grown. You have to kind of pull out into the road to be able to see around it. And I don't want to see anyone have to cut their trees down, but I also don't want to see anyone get clipped
Right.
coming out of there. And I deal with it every morning in rush hour traffic to work. So I'm always trying to be careful, and I just don't want to see someone get crunched. And
That's
I
a good-
just
that's
know
a- that's
that
a good point.
there is sight distances that we need to look at, and people trimming things
These are all
back
great,
for
and
safety issues.
I'm going to say to the public, I know there's going to be a lot of people who will be attending. There's been a lot of issues over the years with safety on our roads. I mean, recently I've had 3 accidents just in front of my place. I'm on West Bridge Street. So
Yep.
I completely understand, and please come. We want to
Yep.
hear.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Haley and I had the opportunity to meet with Pico in regards to projects up and coming, and then also concerned with costs. And I find it very interesting that as we talked about the Limerick plant, and I was misled by myself that I thought that nuclear power plant actually generated power for us and for Pennsylvania. It provides nothing for Pennsylvania. That is all shipped to New York. We also found out that they will be increasing their energy output to the grid owner, which PJM handles the grid for a number of states: Delaware, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and the District of Columbia. And guess who's going to be helping to offset those costs so that they can provide more energy down to an area like Virginia for power? And that means that will be on all the residents of Pennsylvania that will pay for that. So it's concerning. I mean, it's something that, does it make sense that is, for us to provide or help out other communities or states because coal mines are shutting down under the environmental concerns, but we will help pay to get power down there to them. So I guess somehow that's problematic. So as we entertain these, the potential of data centers and that, we should be aware of, those types of costs that are already going to be coming our way, and to make sure we shield and protect ourselves from any costs that are being considered, that we aren't subsidizing private business locally. One of the things that I'm going to ask the board to begin a conversation at some time here in the coming months is our sewer systems that we have here. We have 2 divided sewer systems, the Veterans Center and the Barton Meadows systems. In looking at these plants and, the long-term health dollars have been put together for long-term maintenance, deferred maintenance. I think majority of this has been deferred maintenance, to look at the potential and possibility of what a combining of the 2 systems would be. I think it's good for us to have a fact-finding mission to see what that looks like. What is the cost? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages to that? And I think, again, trying to be out front on this and open through this process, because you look at the the schedules of what people pay for this, there's such a huge imbalance in that. And are we really addressing the major infrastructure issues here when we deal with sanitary sewer? But also have to be aware of a number of homeowners who are on septic systems that don't pay into this. So how will they be impacted in this? So I think there's a lot to be considered. I know there are some comments and, I've heard where people say that this will open the door for, just opposite of what we talked about before, maintaining the rural area. This will open up growth. That is absolutely not true. It won't. There's a way to regulate and control these types of things. But also there are DCED concerns that we have to address that we are not in compliance with, that we need to make corrections to. So it is a DEP, sorry, wrong one, that we need to address as well. So it's a lengthy discussion. This is not something that is coming down the road like in 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. It's a long-term process, but you have to have the conversation and be open about it. So that'll be one of the recommendations I'll make to the board. Another recommendation I'll make is to ask our open space committee to look at what we have preserved and conserved so far to date. The estimate I understand is we have conserved or preserved approximately 51% of the township, which is remarkable. That's absolutely incredible and should be applauded for that. That's absolutely amazing. Is what does that look like? How much more of the township is available for development that we have to be concerned about, and what proactive measures and steps we need to take, and to assess all the different properties, what under the zoning they have, what can be built there, and how do we again protect that as well as our natural resources, the water quality. There's a number of things. And again, I think this is one we need to start looking at. I think we had a great group of people that are on that committee. I think they can handle that. So I think that would be another recommendation that I will look to bring forward to you as well. One final thing is the budget planning process. We are starting internally already for 2026. I plan to hold a couple township manager listening sessions to actually hear what people are thinking about for the budget. Long term too as well, not only short but midterm and long term, what we're looking at financially for the township as we continue to grow, preserve, conserve, how this all works together into our 2026 budget. So I know it seems that we're only in May here, but it'll be December before you know it. So I think if we're out front on this, that we will have these conversations. I know in the past, we had some town hall meetings that some were attended well, some not too well, but even for the small ones, we had good feedback and input on that. So we're looking forward to, again, continuing that process of hearing from the residents, but then also for us to share, the opportunities that sit out there for us. What are some of the concerns that we have? And the long-term health and prosperity of the township is really the focus. And that's something we have to look at all the time. It's not where we just sit back and go, it's great. We'll be fine. No problem. A lot of issues coming at us. And I think we're playing a lot of catch up too on things that maybe we haven't been proactive enough on. We haven't invested in infrastructure. And these are things that we're catching up, and we can't afford to kick the can anymore, or pass the buck and say, well, we'll worry about it next year. Those times have come now, and it's time for us to really address and have the conversation with the community as we go through this process. And the budget eventually will be something that it's an ongoing process, because the budget changes every day, every day. It's a fluid moving document, and it's something that, again, we'll need your help on. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that ends my long-winded talk.
Thank you. I'll move to the solicitor's report.
I'll be brief.
Okay.
We've been working on a data center ordinance for a little while.
I didn't know that.
We also have been working on a procurement policy ordinance and a fund balance policy ordinance at the direction of Mr. Zinkowski. Lastly, we've also been, just as a highlight, looking at a open space and developable land inventory with Ms. Bear. We do have a draft of that completed at this point, and hopefully we can get that over to the open space committee in the near future. There's a number of odds and ends and some litigation that we're also dealing with, but that concludes my report.
Thank you. Now I'm going to move to just open things up for public comment before we consider adjourning the meeting. Is there anyone that, yes? Please, if you could please, let me, yeah. Are you, whoever wants to go first, yeah.
Hi, Elaine Melita, Holman Mill Road. I just had a comment on the, I have to remember I didn't get to comment on it about the zoning, the thing that was going to the zoning for the committee. So, I mean, it's been general procedure that the anything that goes to the zoning board is sent to the PC and the Board of Supervisors for their comment. So I understand what you're saying is you don't want to influence them, but I think sometimes they want your advice. So I just want you to consider that too. Like for instance, building in a floodplain, I don't think that's allowed in our ordinance or the state ordinance or anything. So that's a fact that needs to be brought out here.
Yeah.
And so I just want
No, it's good. I mean, again, on principle, that's how I feel about it. I don't like to try to influence them. I would say the boards and committees should sort of know at least some of the direction that's coming from the supervisors, just in general, just as far as how we discuss things. But I'm considering, right? And so we tabled this, so I understand. And,
yeah, I mean, it's just they are an independent board and they get to decide on their own, but then it's not wrong for them to have information. I think that's all I'm saying.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then one other thing on data centers, they not only use a lot of electricity, they use a lot of water. And so they're right near the Schuylkill River, so they can just get their water from the Schuylkill River. But let's remember that Limerick wasn't even able to get enough water from the Schuylkill River. They had they're piping it in from the Delaware River. And so how come there can't be more water available for this data center? That's my New York accent, sorry. Data center.
I tell you, when we get to this planning commission, that is going to be one lively night. We're going to talk a lot about data centers.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
But I mean, water is really important.
Yes.
And then one more thing, the agenda coming out on Monday, is that going to be, Haley, you said that's going to be the way it is from now on. That doesn't give much time to look at what's going to be on and evaluate it and that kind of stuff. I'll leave. I'm not going to say anymore.
A suggestion I'll have just for that is the possibility of changing some of the meeting dates to allow more time, which means you may adjust when the EAC meets and maybe have some adjustments to those times, again, to allow the process, correct? So that
was not what I meant. It was not in reference to the EAC. For instance, I look at the agenda and then I have the whole weekend to look at all I mean, there's a lot of stuff to look at. So if it just comes out on Monday and I'm working say, then I have Monday night and Tuesday night to try to read all this material. I'm not just talking about myself.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're in the process of, it's a work in progress to try to see how we can get this posted, the information. Even looking at, I know we went through this again, the first reorganizational meeting, but again is looking at the date that we're actually meeting on and how Wednesday.
I mean, because I also tried to put something on the agenda and it used to be the Wednesday morning before the meeting. Now it's 2 weeks before. So
we're trying to get further out in this so that we're avoiding this last minute or, making changes.
So that's.
Thank you. Hi, Bill.
Bill Fields, 441 Stony Run Road. I may be late to the party. You may have discussed this at a previous meeting, but about 2.5 months ago, I noticed the speed limit on Stony Run Road went from 40 down to 35. And so if you remember back in early 2024, we had that discussion about it, as well as some other roads that were getting changed. And I just wanted to thank the Board of Supervisors for putting that in and getting that through. and really appreciate it.
And the chief.
And the chief.
Chief.
And the
Chief was instrumental in that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I can
Yes.
also add on, that the residents in the Washington Square area had asked for, traffic slowing there, and, it's 40 currently. And PennDOT has agreed to reduce that to 35. So I believe
That's
next week that Public Works will be making the change in signage.
Okay, great.
And again, we thank the chief for his efforts.
Yes.
and moving that along.
Too bad the chief isn't
as-
here. I
As
would-
well.
Okay, yeah. But thank you. That's great news. Are there any other, oh, yes, please.
Monica Scriver, Valley Creek Lane. This is going to sound absolutely insane, but I love the idea of strategically sitting down with the volunteers, the awesome volunteers of this township, and talking about our comprehensive plan. I just love it. And I bring it up in planning commission meetings. I bring it up all the time. I'm a broken record, right? But I think Elaine brought up, I'd like to reiterate what she's saying, really considering that the regional plan idea, Rachel's presentation and her, it was excellent. I don't care if it didn't have flowers or colors or anything else, but it just shows our planning commission is really thinking about, where are we going? I'm going to botch this because I just realized I've been using it incorrectly, but Will Rogers said, if you don't like where you're going, you might end up somewhere else. I thought it was, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up somewhere else. And that's what I think a comprehensive plan is. We have the mission and vision. We have the passion of the people here to really define what we want in our township. And I think it needs to be on the forefront of what we're doing. As far as Chester County is ID'd as, this is one of the higher growth areas. We bring this up constantly, and Christine, you probably know this. My understanding is based on the documents we have, we're already 30% over our growth for what year? 2030?
Yeah.
So we're already 30% over that growth. And I don't think we should forget about that. I mean, we're seeing it with our traffic. We're seeing it, it's impacting us. So I wanted to bring that up. Elaine's right about floodplains. I just talked to the water authorities of Chester County and she reiterated that floodplains are protected. You can't, just FYI. I just wanted to bring that up. And then the liaison program, what Bob was saying about all of us working together and collaborating, I love it. I'm assuming that's what the liaison program was, for. It was voted on, but I'm not sure exactly. I'm assuming that's what that is about.
It is. It
Okay.
is, yes.
So I think it's a great idea and I want to say that. And then Bob, kudos to you for staying on top of especially like the sewer systems and I know there weren't things always regulated or checked on. So I want to thank you for that. You're always thanking everybody else, but I want to thank you. It's important. And the other thing is I want to reiterate what Elaine said about our process when we're doing planning and plans and things. I've watched it, how important following the proper steps are, and whatever the reasons are, I think we really have to adhere to that and commit to following the proper steps and procedures with plans and if things are changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment or doesn't look like there's anyone online. Yes. Okay. Wait till you come up here. We can't hear you.
I forgot during the construction
Oh, if you could
discussion.
name and address again,
Stephen
please.
Weiler, 130 Penhurst.
Thank you.
As they're coming out the northwest corner from Penhurst on the bridge, construction vehicles are cutting that and the edge of the roadway is just deteriorating. You can't even make a turn with a car without going into it. So they should be addressing that also.
Yeah, and we agree with the concerns that you have, and they need to be addressed. And the traffic meeting that's going to be coming up, it's going to be traffic and safety. I think that there's a great time to bring that stuff up then too, because we can consolidate all these concerns that we have in the township, and then sometimes some of these will take longer than other ones, but we might be able to get some quick wins. So we'll definitely address that.
Okay.
Yes.
Just let me go over a couple points. I know we've beating
Well,
a dead horse.
I don't want to repeat
this
too
was,
many things.
This was
Okay.
May
Yes.
1st of last year.
Okay.
The chief actually came up with the idea of the speed bumps.
Yes.
It's over a year in the planning. I know things move slowly, but if you're familiar with the Penhurst Road, if you're coming from Bridge Street, there's only one 20-mile-per-hour sign. It's before the stop sign. After the stop sign, people think it's like racetrack. Let's go. There's no more warnings. Hey, it's 20 miles per hour.
Please bring those up at the traffic meeting, please.
Okay, I just want to make it quick.
Yeah.
Our driveway is at the end of a grade. And when you're coming from the Veterans Center, there are no speed limit signs before you get down to the bottom of that grade. I see, I'm putting the trash out. I look down. Some drivers will see the sign and you can see brake lights go on. So could we warn them before the grade, before they're speeding?
Please bring it up at the meeting, the traffic safety meeting. Yes.
Why, this is just questions. Why is it taking over a year to implement, like the speed tables, bumps, whatever? Would those bumps be placed on the grade, after the grade?
Well, I'm not
I'd like
going to
to
answer
see.
that
I'm
because, but
I
the
know, I
chief
just
knows
want to get our
and we
concerns out so
addressed
they're
it.
on
and,
record.
Yeah, we're gonna address it. Yes.
We still have employees. I know the chief said, we send letters to the Veteran Center saying, look, get your employees under control. We know there are employees that are speeding because it's the certain times of day when the shift changes are. I mean, it's like a racetrack for, car after car after car.
Yeah.
Tonight, the black box was explained. It's it is a speed monitor. I think the results may be skewed because of where it's located. Because you're starting out from that stop sign, their maximum speed is not till they're getting to 120, 130s Penhurst.
Yeah.
And that box is before that. So we may get some speeding, but I think if the box was placed a little further, you're going to get more. The yellow signs were going to be distributed. How are we going to find out where we're going to get those?
Just call the office here and we'll, how many you need, we'll actually deliver them out. We'll have Public Works drop them off.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you want some tonight, we make sure we give them to you, Bill. If
We'll
you
grab
can,
them tonight.
You take them?
Bill,
Okay.
the gentleman there, our finance rate, he'll
All right.
he'll get you
I know
some
4
tonight.
people right now. That's good.
And if I may just add, a number of the items that you brought up tonight, we're going to address before that meeting, because there's a number of these items about number of signs. Some people may not like if all of a sudden we ram a sign in front of their house and say, I don't want that speed limit sign. So we're going to have to work through that. The same thing goes with these speed humps and that. Yeah, I'll take responsibility for not, pushing this along further, but we're going to end up having. Right. That's the easy one. So, but no, there's a number of these things, just like where the road's deteriorating. That's something that we're going to get out and take a look at tomorrow right away, and we'll notify them. So thank you. It's coming. I'm trying to coordinate with our traffic engineer, the police chief, so that it will be always a reoccurring on the same, like third Tuesday, third Wednesday, that it's always then.
Right.
It's always then at that. And then we're going to have to come up with times too as well. If it's better for us, should we have them in the evening? Should we have them during the day? What's going to work best? So.
Do you want
Hello.
Hello.
Dana Chaffone, Hearthstone Circle. Bob, you mentioned Chester County has us targeted as a high growth zone or area. Is that documented somewhere? Is it in, is it set of goals that they have? Where could we find that information?
Well, we'll look for it and find it for you. It's something that we've heard many times here as well. I think Chris actually might know where it is better than anybody else. She's been talking about it for the whole time I've been here, I think.
Yeah, and it was mentioned to me in September of 2023 by the chairperson of the Chester County Planning Commission. And when she told me that, it's over my dead body.
So I mean, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, was it just a statement that was made, or did they update their landscapes comprehensive plan and target? I'm just trying to see like, where is that documented? Because I feel like if people are just coming here and saying that, again, I use that self-fulfilling
I'm sure there's
prophecy.
minutes and we can get that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And just as far as the data center discussion, could you just explain the ground rules of that? I know you said you really can't talk about certain things. You can't talk about them. What is the public's role, or what is our ability to speak on the topic? Could you give a little bit of information on that?
The only reason that I think maybe there's a little confusion. The public's role is that the whole process is to be very public, but the purpose of us saying, look, we don't want to talk about some of this stuff here is because it really should be discussed in front of the planning commission. So that's where that whole public discussion happens. There's no, I guess, ground rules, so to speak, in terms of what the public can ask questions about or what we can disclose. I get, does that answer the question?
Sort of. So I was kind of thinking then, really, aren't you just saying, you could just have said, we're going to introduce an ordinance and it'll be revealed and you can, at the planning commission meeting.
Sure.
As opposed to, it feels like you're opening up a discussion, but then so many things seem to be off the table. That's where I was a little confused on, we don't know if we're speculating, let's say, on things. So it just is a little confusing for the public, I think, to know what we can do and what we can't do. We don't have to go in it. This is just my feeling about it because I've been through this in the past, but
That's a good point, Dana, because I mean, if it's not clear to you, the others are probably getting the same thing, but I don't think there's anything off the table. I mean, anything can be brought up, any of the discussions. I don't think it's being restricted, except anybody who wants to say that there's going to be Black Hawk helicopters flying around there 24/7. Maybe you might want to hold that one back.
We don't want to fear monger yet, but we will.
That's the point, I think, Dan, is that I think the conversations, we don't know, we don't have, there is not a application that's pending before the board or the township. So, to say things like, oh, well, there's going to be a small nuclear power plant there or whatever it is, which to my knowledge, there is not going to be. Okay. No fear mongering here.
So you got
it. Or Black Hawk helicopters flying. We're not.
Yeah.
No.
That's really helpful. What you just said, Joe, there's no plan yet, sketch plan. That
right.
Sets the table.
There's no
I get it.
Yeah.
I think that's key. And and on that point, I feel that writing our own ordinance sort of feels like we're rolling out the red carpet. Would prefer to see us doing something around modifying or amending the existing zoning and going after conditions as opposed to putting out, it's going to be a standalone data center ordinance. That's just my thought process on that.
So I think when we get to the planning commission meeting, I think you'll find that this is not a standalone.
Okay.
It is basically a standalone section
within
the IMU district.
Thank you.
Okay.
That helps.
And it changes the bulk and density
Regulations.
criteria so that it fits more within, a data center use.
Okay.
Now, again, I just want to be clear. We're taking on the responsibility of drafting and control of drafting. We intentionally took that away from the property owner so that we could control the process. The request is based on what I'm sure many of you have already seen in surrounding communities and what some folks have been peddling around in other communities as well as proposed ordinances. So we took that, we took some things from other places and used it as the framework, hoping that we will now layer on top additional information and I'll call it conditions, if you will.
Great.
Based on public input, planning commission input, but we needed to get something on paper
That's great.
to start.
No, that clears up that piece. And then I just want to reiterate what Elaine said about getting the materials for these meetings with that weekend, that additional time, because, Monday nights are school board. Some of us also go to school board meetings. Right. We go to other meetings or we have sports for the kids. So having that extra, like I'll call it the free time over the weekend, we want to come prepared and we want to ask good questions. And if we can stick to getting the materials on Friday as we have traditionally, I think that, that is something that serves the public well. Thanks. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And Rachel, 400 feet is in there. Where, if she's still here. 400 feet still in there.
As long as you promise me,
No traffic.
No traffic.
Industrial mixed use zoning. So that's the zoning that is over the Penhurst property right now is what we call IMU for short, but it's industrial mixed use. It was zone. This ordinance was put in place in 2002. So the IMU zoning ordinance was at least in its current configuration was put in place in 2002 and updated in 2012. But according to this, I'm looking at it right here. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have no idea. I wasn't here. Mhm.
Greg, I can't hear.
Yeah, some people, we probably should cut down on the discussion from here. If you would like to come up here, we could, yeah. Any other questions, comments? I don't see anything online. Okay, I can't wait to the planning commission meeting. I'm really looking forward to it. I really. Okay, so move to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, and please come out to the planning